Alright, hello and welcome back to another deck profile. The second one today. Ooh. But anyway, this is the second one for today because the game won't let me get any replays from online because I'm using beta cards, so it won't let me do that and some stupid stuff. And also, I've been working on this one for a bit, and I want to get it out now because I think I have it just about finished. But anyway, as you can see, today we are taking another look at Fortune Ladies. Now, I took a look at this deck in the Worst Deck of All Time series, and the build that I showed there was complete and utter garbage. That build was... like, that's the reason that deck did so poorly. It wasn't the deck itself, it was just that build was straight hot garbage. There's really not much more to it. And an interesting thing happened in the with that video is actually another YouTuber, AbyssalYGO, went down in the comments and rightfully called me out on how bad the build was. And like I'm glad that happened. I'm glad that happened because we got to talk about it, asked him for some help, got some ideas for this build, and I'm glad. Like, whenever people actually call me out whenever I do something wrong, that's a good thing. That means people like, that's a good thing, because that helps me get better and grow. Like, obviously now I have a much better build at this. I have new ideas. My knowledge has expanded a little bit. It's a good thing to call people out if you're willing to help them on it and all that stuff too. Like, if I ever do something stupid in future videos, do not be afraid to call me out. I actually appreciate it. But anyway, so big shout outs to AbyssalYGO there. I'll have a link to his channel down in the descriptions. Yes, in the description, because he was the one who called me out on it and basically led to this better build being showed off and gave me the ideas for it today. So big shout outs there. So anyway, let's get into it. For our Fortune Lady lineup, we have 2 dark, 3 water, 1 wind, 1 fire, and 3 light. I choose not to run earth just because she just isn't that great, in all honesty. Alright, now I'm going to go through the reasoning I have for why they're each where they are ratio wise. So I only run 2 dark just because you really don't want to see her in hand. You want to special her more off of light, so you really don't want to be drawing into her. So I only run the 2 just because I'd rather special summon her out of the deck off of light's effect. Also, she's good after you've like taken a turn to set up, which is why she's only in there at 2. And then we have 3 water. I have 3 water in there just because you want her in the grave, so you want to send her with the new spellbook card, Spellbook of Rudra, that gets her in grave, sets her up for dark. You can use her to make Bahamut Shark and Toad. The more of her you can special, the more cards you get to draw. So that's why we have her at 3 there. We just run 1 wind and 1 fire because spell and trap destruction and monster destruction. So we have 1 of each if we ever need them. And then 3 light just because it's a lot easier to remove her from the field now with Spellbook of Rudra, which triggers her effect and lets you draw 2 cards. We also have Dark Hole to activate her effect as well. And you're going to use her to get to water to set stuff up, for darks to set up your major combos, and go from there. So that's why we have the ratios like they are. Moving on from there, we have a few Spellbook cards. We have 3 Spellbook Magician of Prophecy, or as I'll be calling him, Blue Boy, just because that's what my friend who plays Spellbooks, I keep saying Spellbooks calls him. 3 Spellbook of Secrets and 3 Spellbook of Rudra. We also run a few 1 and 2 ofs. We have 2 Spellbook of Power, 1 Spellbook of Life, 1 Spellbook of the Master, 1 Spellbook of Fate, and 1 the Grand Spellbook Tower. Now, the reason we run all the 1-offs at the end is because we can search all of them with these 6 searchers right here. It's not hard at all to get to any of your spellbook cards because these 6 cards get you any of them. Now, Rudra is a newer spellbook card that states, send to the graveyard 1 spellcaster type monster you control, or 1 spellbook card in your hand or on the field, except Spellbook of Rudra, and if you do, draw 2 cards, and you can only use it once per turn. Now this triggers Fortune Lady Light's effect, so you can summon her, send her to the grave, draw 2, and special out any of your other Fortune Ladies, which is very, very good for the deck. Much better than any other ways we have of triggering her effect up until now. And just a little bit more reasoning for the ratios here. The reason we're doing 3, 3, 3, and then slightly lower on all of these is because, again, all of these can search out any of the 1-offs, and we're doing 2 power because power boosts up your dark and allows her to swing over things more easily, allowing her effect to trigger to special a water from grave to draw 2, and then this will net you another spellbook card after that. So you could say use this to grab a Rudra and then send the water back to grave to set her back up and draw 2 more cards, preferably back row to stop your opponent. So this, all the spellbook cards actually work fairly well with the deck. We also have 2 copies of Instant Fusion just because water is a level 4 water, as the name would suggest. So we can make Bahamut Shark and Toad pretty easily. So 2 Instant Fusion isn't bad. We also run 1 other generic Spellcaster Fusion, just so that we can use it for Rudra, make rank 4 plays, things of that nature. We also run 2 Dark Hole because it can activate Light's effect and clear the field. Obviously, you're going to be drawing a lot in this deck, and drawing into a board wipe is never a bad thing. We also run 2 Twin Twister just to clear some back row, and we run 1 Fortune's Future. Now, I talked about this card with AbyssalYGO, and he actually recommended not running it at all, but we can banish Fortune Ladies from grave with Spellbook of Life, because you have to banish one from your grave, and then you special one, another one from the grave, and increase its level by the banished one. So this can actually set up our Fortune's Future. Now you're probably thinking, well, 1 and 1, what's the chances of you drawing both of those and actually setting that combo up? Well, because we can search this with 6 cards in our deck, it's actually not that hard to do. Like, say we have a Fortune Future in hand, and we have a cheeky way we can activate it, so we can just grab this, activate it, then we get another draw 2 and a free monster on field. You can bump a Dark up to, like, say, level 9 with this, making it pretty strong as well. And just Fortune Future, it's good if you use it late. Like, say you're like, oh, I could use this to bring back a Dark and go off from there. Then you draw into the Fortune Future, and it's just a good card to draw later after you've used your life. Or you can try to use life to set up a draw to play with that. So I do like running the 1 and 1 of each there. I think it is a nice combo. Then we also have 3 Quaking Mirror Force. Now, in the last video, I ran Floodgate Trap Hole, and in this video, I basically changed that to Quaking Mirror Force based on the same logic, because it puts stuff in face down defense that Dark can then swing over to trigger her effects. Only this is better just because you can wait till your opponent brings out all their monsters and then flip them all face down. And also, Mirror Forces add an insane level of fear to your deck. Usually, once people see that you're playing Mirror Forces, they will be much more careful around, even if you set just 1 back row. This was another suggestion by AbyssalYGO, and it's definitely very good for the deck. This card can get you out of a lot of bad situations. Just flipping everything face down, then you can take time and just wait, build up resources, and then push over everything from there. It gives you time to draw into all the cards you need. Definitely extremely solid in this deck. We also run 2 Call the Hunter for recovery, 2 Solemn Strikes, and 1 Solemn Warning, just for a little bit of stun factor in the deck. And we're going to be drawing a lot of cards, so we just really want to try to draw into some of this back row, some of the board wipes, the Instant Fusion, the Twin Twist. There's a lot of things we can draw into to hinder our opponent's ability to play the game of Yu-Gi-Oh! And then moving on to the extra deck, we have our 2 Bahamut Shark and our 2 Tree Toad. Like we talked about, we can make it pretty easily, so we go for it. Occasionally we'll be making 5, so we run 1 Adrius and 1 Freezedon to use for full armor Crystal Zero Lancer. Obviously, you could make this a Vulcan, a Guide Charger, or something like that, or just any other XYZs you want. But I really love full armor Crystal Zero Lancer, so we're going for that. And then we're going to be making rank 4, so we have Castell and Diamond Direwolf. Most of the time we'll be trying to make a Bahamut Shark with our rank 4s though, so these are just in there as secondary ones to use. We also run 1 Downright Magician, just because we do run a few rank 3s and lowers, like our 1 Break Sword, our 1 Sky Cavalry, and our 1 Ghostrix Succubus. So now we can make 2s a little bit just because light can go up to a 2 and then work with fire, so we have those. Same reasoning with 3s here, fire can go up to a 3, so we just want to have something to cover all of our bases. And then for our final 2 extra cards, we have 1 Elder Entity Norden and 1 Kamina Wizard. Kaminon Wizard. You know, it's just going to be Kamina Wizard. I should just replace that artwork with Kamina. Alright, there we go. Kamina Wizard. Perfect. Alright, so Norden, obviously broken. Lets you go into Bahamut Shark and Toad. Free rank 4 play, very good. And this is just in there. We can use it with Rudra, use it to make a rank 4 play, whatever we really need at that moment. And that rounds things off. And because it's a spellcaster themey kind of deck, obviously Wind Witches are damn good right now. It's basically a free Crystal Wing right there, just opening this card. So you could just set up a Crystal Wing before you do any of your Fortune Lady plays, which is pretty damn good. Also, it works with Rudra and all the other spellcaster support. So again, it's pretty damn good. And also, I've seen a few people doing invoked wind witches, no, invoked fortune ladies, just because they have all the attributes, so you can make pretty much any of the fusions off of that. The only problem is I feel like it does get a little bit cloggy because you have your Alistairs you want to normal summon, you have your Lights you want to normal summon and get off the field with Rudra, so you have a little bit of competition between the two different archetypes there. But I think they're both fun and viable options that you guys could try out. I also know there's Metal Foes variants, unfortunately, there's Chaos variants, there's lots of ways you could play this deck. And I wish I would have showcased that a bit better, but that's why I'm doing this deck profile now, to kind of make up for the worst deck awful build I showed. But also, it's just good to take a second look at it because, you know, it's obviously a lot more fun than I originally thought, now having an actual decent build, and this obviously isn't meta but can stand up pretty well and is very fun to play indeed. Alright, and that about does it for the deck. Anyway, again, I can't show any replays because I couldn't get any from online because of the beta cards, but I've been waiting to show this one off, so why not go ahead and just do it, and maybe I could put a few replays up later once Rudra isn't a beta card anymore. And again, big shoutouts to AbyssalYGO for calling me out and helping me make this build that I can show with you guys today. Again, link to his channel down in the description. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Alright, hello. I just say alright. Why do I just say alright?